All right, in case you're just joining us, this is This Morning. We're reaching you live from Television Continental here in Lagos, Nigeria. And I have the candidate of the All Progressive Congress in Lagos, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu. How are you, sir?
Very well. Thank you so very much. I'm sure you guys have got a very lovely setup here. You know, this is my second time, but I think you guys keep upping the scale. I'm pretty much very impressed.
Thank you.
Very impressed.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. A lot of people will say you've not contested for any position before. And since 1999, yes, some of us, we know that you've been serving different administration, and they will ask you, who is Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu? Where are you coming from?
Well, Ayo, I mean, thank you very much. And I think it's a question that had come up a few times. I'm 53 years old. Right, my name, like you said, is Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu. So I'm probably not going to take 53 years to explain or define who I am. But in serious context, you know, in the last 30 years when I left university, which, I mean, I did surveying in University of Lagos. I had well, great. I've had in the last 30 years about 17 years in the private sector and about 13 years in the public sector. Right, so I've been so privileged that my private sector experience had traversed, you know, both, you know, the oil and gas industry, where I started, you know, as a data seismic engineer in the whole of what we call today the Niger Delta, you know, region, and also in Maiduguri in the Lake Chad region, right? Moving on from there, I found myself in a little startup, and I went into banking industry. I had the privilege to run treasury, you know, what we call both the foreign currency market desk and the local currency market desk of three banks: Lead Merchant Bank, UBA at some time, and First Atlantic, which is now part of FCMB. And I grew to the level of a deputy general manager, you know, in 2002. Thereafter, my journey in the public sector started, right? I was first appointed a special advisor, corporate matters, meaning that I was the interface between the private sector and the public sector. I actually coined that name for myself, corporate matters special advisor, first to the deputy governor, subsequently to the governor. And very rapidly, very quickly, you know, I became the acting commissioner for economic planning and budget, which meant that on 2 occasions, I took the entire budget of the states to present in front of the State House of Assembly. Towards the end of that administration, I was also privileged to be appointed a commissioner for commerce and industry. Part of the to-do list for us then was also to sign off on what you see today as the Lekki Free Trade Zone. Right, so I was on a trip, you know, and we did all of that. So moving on from that, I also joined BRF Cabinet as Commissioner for Establishment, Training and Pension, meaning that I was in charge of the entire civil service in terms of their salary structure, in terms of their welfare, in terms of their human capital development, setting out all of the structures that has to do with the civil service, and of course the pensioners, both, you know, on the pay-as-you-go pension and, you know, the contributory pension scheme, you know. So, I mean, I left government in the first instance in 2011, went back into the private sector, you know, got involved in privatization, did a lot of things in power, did a lot of things in real estate construction, did a lot around civil society. I mean, NGOs, I had a few NGOs that I was working with people, so we're just giving back. We're doing a lot of capacity development, a lot of training to the needy. And finally, I got myself back into government as the managing director, chief executive of the foremost property company also in the state, 90-year-old LSDPC, which I ran for 2 years. So in some sort, you know, that's who I am, that's what I've done in the last 30 years post-university.
Last week, Mr. Jimmy Agbaje actually quoted you as saying that you are determined to restore the glory of Lagos if elected as its governor. Now, does this not justify the opposition's position that in the last 20 years, Lagos has not performed optimally?
He says he wants to...
That you said you are going to restore the glory of Lagos.
Okay. Or that I'm going to restore the glory
of Lagos.
No, I mean...
And he's holding that against you, that's an admission of failure, that your party has not performed well in the last 20 years.
You probably need to quote, maybe he quoted me out of context. My campaign has been that we're taking Lagos to a greater height. Lagos it's humongous. Lagos is big. Lagos have done well, you know, in 20 years, but You know, it's a journey, not a destination, right? It's a work in progress. In a mega city status of Lagos, challenges will always happen on a daily basis. Issues around waste management, issues around crime, issues around education, in health, you will continue to, that's what governance is, right? If we fix everything all and becomes a glorious state, then you can fold arms and say that there's no need for government again. That's not true. But if you look at it in little context, in 1999, what were we? You know it, Ayo, and where we are today. You know, is it in terms of all the infrastructures that has been built, in terms of all of the development that has happened, the growth of the economy, you know, that has happened, right? And we know what contribution government has had to do with that. So it's not a case of, restoring the glory, right? Lagos needs to be taken to a higher height. It is on a good pedestal. It's the 5th largest economy in the state. 20 years ago, it wasn't. It wasn't. So something has worked well for Lagos. But we're saying, given the level of development we've seen compared to some other jurisdictions in the world, we can do it a lot better, a lot quicker, and a lot faster. That's the narrative.
What do you intend doing differently? A lot of people will tell you that Akin Omiambode actually succeeded in making Lagos a construction site, all around construction, all around, you see development and everything. But what will make what will you do differently? And are you going to move away from the templates?
Essentially, you don't throw away the baby and the bathwater. You know, it's a very simple phrase. Whatever the current governor, who is my governor, is doing right or has done right, we certainly will keep it up. You know, it's a continuum. Governance itself, it's a continuum. So it's whatever the asset and the liability, we'll put it in the basket and we'll roll with it. Part of the things we will do differently is we'll begin to think through innovation. How can we improve all of our processes, ease of doing businesses? You know, Lagos economy as it is now, the private sector controls about 80 to 85% of it. What are the things that we can do as government, you know, to leapfrog them? Issues around power, we've not gotten it right. Issues around the waste management, we are not there yet. Issues around a lot of, you know, infrastructure development. You know, the Lagos-Badagry Expressway, that's a major corridor in the state that we need to fix. Right? Transportation, right? We started with the light rail system. We need to close up on that transaction and make it work. Start up on the red line. We've talked about it. Let's bring about development in that area so that we can have a comprehensive internodal transportation system. We can have all our resources. What are we doing in health? How can we ensure that all we've been saying around health insurance scheme comes to bear and we can close the wrap? We've got over 330 primary health institutions. How well are we going to equip them and make the health access, you know, a whole lot accessible to people? Not everybody going to tertiary institutions. A lot of things have been done, but we're saying that with innovation, with a lot of technology bringing on board, because that's where the world is going to now, right? We can actually wrap up a lot of things faster and quicker in Lagos. Those are some of the things we'll be
Mr. Sanwo-Olu, Lagos, most parts is practically under lockdown now. Most parts of Lagos, part of the day due to incessant traffic jam. And after 20 years, is it to the credit of APC?
That's also not a fair statement. See, this is December. Read my lips, December. It's a season that happens once a year.
The roads are bad.
No, the roads are bad. Okay, so we're just coming out of, you know, the raining season. So it's only in the dry season that you can start fixing the roads. You know, so you have a rainy season, you have a dry season. Rainy season just ended in November, right? So from December, I imagine we need to get them to roll off their sleeves, right, and go back, you know, to fixing those things. It's potholes, is the public health. You know, we have three. What do they call it now? That are working with the public. The Public Works Bureau. You know, where they produce asphalt and all of it. Let's get all of those three things working. Let's bring out all of the gangs that need to come up and patch up the roads. You know, when you talk about traffic, and yes, it's true. The study that I've done in the last 1 month shows that a lot of people are concerned about traffic. It's true. And we've realized that there are over 53, 54 traffic gridlocks in Lagos. All those traffic
53,
about 54 of them, yes. It's traffic gridlocks. And each one of them have unique solutions that needs to be implemented. Some could be as easy as reducing the roundabouts that usually tail back the traffic. Some could be as easy as introducing traffic street lights and road furniture. But some could be as innovative as expanding the laybys so that places where you have 2 lanes, you turn it to 4 lanes just by the corner piece. Some could be as very audacious as we have in the toll plazas, where we're going to be looking at a simulation where we can in the morning, turn the 11 toll plaza to 18, right, and remain only 6, and in the evening do the reverse. But all of those things, we need to think through it efficiently, and do a simulation and understand the management of it. It's like when you have 12 lanes here, you have 12 lanes here. In the morning, can we make it 18? And so that you have a bigger, wider space where you can have a lot more coverage, right? And in the evening, you do the reverse. So the 18 now comes like this. Those are some of the innovative ways that I'm saying we can use to ease the traffic very quickly. But more importantly, too, we also need to change our ways. There's a whole lot of advocacy that we need to bring about. We're never patient about anything. So let's respect other road users. There's some things that we can fix for now, but there's a whole lot government can also do to bring about those changes that we'll expect, that we'll see in other jurisdictions that we've been to. And those are some of the conversations we need to begin to have, to see those things. And finally, this is December. It's also the festive season. I'm sure you've started receiving a whole lot of December hampers and all of it. So those are some of the things that we need to also understand, that it will tail back a little bit, right? So patience must come in. Understanding that you're not the only road user must also come in. And it's also a period where people are going to be doing a lot of purchases here and there. Organizations have clients that they want to celebrate. And so you're going to see all that movement around. But we're going to also ensure that we talk to the men and women of LASMA, who are doing an incredible job. Let's encourage them. Let them do 24/7. This is a large economy, right? And let us manage all of the effects that's going to come out from it.
Mr. Jimmy Agbaje of the People's Democratic Party actually said that his mantra has been freedom, that he wants to free Lagos. And he said in the last, since 1999, your party cannot account for 7 trillion naira. I don't know how it came by that figure, but he's saying that it's been a waste, that your party has not lived up to the expectations of Lagosians, that you want to free Lagos from the hand of one strong man. I don't know what you make about that. You are not even very convinced about some of those rhetorics. By the way, there are 50 contestants that are out there. So Mr. Agbaje, who is my born around, so I respect him. But you see, let's even play it back. They had a PDP that ran this government ground for 16 years. We ran into recession on the platform of their party at the national level. We knew all of the things, what were the price of oil when we took over in 2015, right? What was the price? What were we doing, right? If somebody's talking about 7 trillion, let's look at the federal government that has wasted God knows how many hundreds of trillions that we cannot also access. But that's not to begin to excuse, all of that. Talk is cheap. Anybody can add up and say to you that 7 trillion that day. Bros, are you in any shackle? Are you in any bondage? When somebody is saying to you in the 21st century that is talking about freedom from what? That you don't have access from here to go to your house, that you don't have access to go and pick your kid from school, or that you don't have a market in which you can go and buy things. Why are we trivializing our life as if we've been living in some 16th century regime? Right. I really don't know where all of that is coming from. And part of the things that we're meant to be doing, right, as government, is understanding that what people want is for governance to be enablers of growth of economy. Lagos, when we say Lagos is the 5th largest economy, it wasn't just by word of mouth. It's by the level of infrastructure. It's by the level of development that it has seen in the last 20 years. When this party, like you said, came in 20 years ago, we're doing only 600 million. So a lot of things have happened over that time. And let's be fair, right? But do we have it all? No, we don't. And that's why we've said that it's not a destination, it's a journey. And that's what we're all working in. And that's why the party, we can look ourselves in the face and say, you know what? You've got a 4-year tenure, right? Let us also go and do it differently. And that's what we're all about. And that's what we're going to do. Your deputy.
Yes, sir.
Your deputy is Mr. Femi, Dr. Femi Hamzat.
Absolutely.
Dr. Femi Hamzat, yes. You both served under Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Babatunde Raji Fashola as commissioners.
Yes.
And at several times, I remember in 2015, he actually ran the primaries against Akinwumi Ambode. Yeah. So he wanted to run against you, but at the point in time, he had to step down. So he wants to become a governor. He is ambitious too. A lot of people are saying that would this not cause a conflict of interest, that if Dr. Femi Hamzat is aspiring to be the governor and is going to be your deputy governor, after 4 years, that we might have a situation that there might be crisis?
I think it's not fair. You know, it's not fair for people that don't know someone to begin to judge. Dr. Hamzat is a fine gentleman. He's someone that I have tremendous respect for. He's one of the people I can call my friend. We've known each other for well over 15 years, right? It's a fine gentleman. Of course, he's ambitious. He has aspiration, which everybody must. You must, I must, right? 4 years ago, he wanted to become the governor. God didn't, APC didn't, the party didn't. He's moved on with his life, right? There's no bickering. Today is my partner, is my running mate, is my deputy by God's grace, and we're putting the team together. Lagos is getting the price of 2 for 1. That's the energy we're bringing to the table. We're getting the price of 2 for 1. Each one of us could as well be sitting down here, right? But the truth about it is, with collaboration, with understanding, and with appreciation, what are the strengths that each one of us brings to the table, it will be a double energy. So both of us are not looking behind our shoulders, right? It's a teamwork. It's a team we're building together, right? And I'm sure that he will serve very well as a deputy governor while I remain as a governor. But it will always be a teamwork that we're putting.
Should the women folk in Lagos be happy that they are going to be shortchanged? Then Sarah Shoson, we had Orelokwe,
these are very unfair. These are very unfair sentiments we're bringing about. You know, I'm someone that's very passionate about the women. My wife is an incredible person. I have worked with a whole lot of interesting, incredible ladies in the world. Right now, what we're putting on the table, like I said, is 2 very strong energies. Lagos deserve those 2 energies. You know, at the risk of sounding immodest, you know, at some point in time, you journalists always the ones that say, there's a governor and there's a weak deputy. There's somebody that's brought a governor and brought somebody that cannot be. So in this, our own case now, we're saying we're bringing 2 governors all wrapped up in one. And you're also still complaining again. There's several things our leaders are going to get, from SSG to chief of staff to, you know, in my economic team that we built, they actually are putting it in the document and said that, you know what, Mr. Governor, right, you are going to put 30% or 35% of women or something. You know, well, I don't know, it's actually Lagos affirmation. And it's interesting. I would say, no, let's just put our best foot forward, you know. And ladies are incredible. They are people that you can trust. There are people that have so much that they can put on the table. And that's what we will be researching and resourcing for competent, capable hands that are going to make our government the very best you've ever seen around.
What do you think is responsible for that perception that the All Progressive Congress is like an anti-Igbo party, that the Igbos in Lagos, they are not favorably disposed to the All Progressive Congress? When you look at the demography in 2015, there's some areas, Ojo, Surulere, that the All Progressive Congress actually lost some seats.
You see, it's also a perception. When I was in government, the longest serving commissioner in Lagos State then was Mr. Bernard Kabweze. Yeah. He's an Igbo man. The federal, he's the DG budget. He was the longest. When I left as commissioner for budget, that was when he took over. He was the longest serving commissioner. In fact, if you sit on budget and planning then, you are like a de facto deputy governor, sort of, yeah, I mean, because that's how powerful. Almost every ministry goes through them. It was given to my brother, my friend, Pastor Bernard Kabweze. The longest serving member of the state exco for APC today, longest serving ever, is Mr. Joe Igbokwe. He's an Igbo man. He's the only one that has kept his seat for well over 15 or 16 years. The spokesman of APC in Lagos. Absolutely. So when you've given somebody a responsibility, like you said, an Igbo man, that has been your spokesperson, that will marshal out all of the things you want to do, rightly or wrongly, to the Igbo. What else can we talk about ourselves? These are all sentiments that doesn't hold water. These are all just perceptions that are wrong. I've worshipped in the largest Igbo. Okay, Your Excellency, let me take a caller. Let me take Joshua. Joshua is calling us from Ogun State. Many thanks for joining us, Josh.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, and I greet your guest.
Yes, thank you very much. Candidate of APC in Lagos State. Thank you.
Yes.
Josh, are you there? Hello? Okay.
Yeah, I said Lagos is very fortunate I think they have quite a lot of resources and resourcefulness of people. I congratulate him and every other person that have run Lagos State. I know from current Minister of Power, Housing and Works, and the present governor, and him too. I want to say that for me, I think Lagos has done fairly well, and they can do better. And what I'm hearing from him contradicts everything that has been in the public. I think he should talk more so that people can hear from him. He's quite exciting, quite enterprising. I think too is a fine gentleman.
Thank you, Joshua.
So thank you very much. I pray that Lagos will do well and the election will go well, because Lagos is setting the pace for Nigeria. And finally, please, you people talked about a survey that says Lagos is one of the poorest state to live in, or capital city to live in. I disagree with that. You see, some of these surveys,
okay, Josh,
politically motivated.
Okay,
Please,
Josh, let me allow you to just hang on there, and let me throw that same question to Mr. Sanwo-Olu. That survey that is rating Lagos as one of the worst, I think the third worst place
These are very unfair, demographics. Just first, thank you. How I wish you were in Lagos State, so that at least, I know that that's one basket of a big vote going in. But thank you so very much for your good compliment. You see, I haven't seen, but I've heard, right? It depends on what exactly are the numbers they're looking at. It depends on what are the statistics they're looking at. I know, for example, and I'll rightly say that if we're looking at hotel occupancy and you're looking at the rates that we charge per hotel room as compared to some other mega cities in the world, yes, maybe you could say Lagos is high. And what that means is that we need a whole lot more in, per density room and the rates you charge. So maybe we need to bring that down. And it's only when we do investments in that area, right? Maybe if you look at it from, the fact that we don't have an effective mass transportation system yet. When I say mass, you mean it has to move, millions of people in a particular direction and move them back. Maybe you also. But if you're talking about the economy, if you're talking about, the resilience, if you're talking about the opportunity in the state, in the city, I'm not sure there's a whole lot of people that can compete with Lagos. Even if you go to New York, you go to the amount of energy that we have in here is comparable to anywhere in the world. But yes, we also still have a bit of blighted areas that we're going to correct, right? We should also be able to, truthfully say what are the issues here. So we have a few blighted areas that we're going to need to correct. And the solutions for us is very simple. We're going to be aggressively looking at how do we give title to those land. The moment you correct that narrative, where even if it is Badia or Ijora or Ajegun, anywhere that is, well, Mushi is not. We just need to do regeneration in Mushi. It's not blighted. Like in any of this, if you can give them, a title, the commercial value immediately, you see a 30 to a 40% growth in commercial. That's commerce.
I think I have Mike. Mike is calling us from the University of Lagos.
Okay.
Many thanks for joining us, Mike.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
Thank you.
Go ahead with your contribution.
All right. I just want to tell His Excellency Babajide Sanwo-Olu that I appreciate his person and I'm listening to him. He's a gentleman and he's highly intelligent. And personally as a person, the moment he emerged as a candidate of APC in Lagos, I call a few of my friends who works in LSDTC, because if you want to know a man, you have to look at his certificate. What has he been doing? How well has he been? And by the grace of God, the people that I talked to, everybody said wonderfully thing about him. That, Oga is good, Oga is this, that if he's given a chance, he will transform Lagos. And I want to tell you that the hand of God is upon your life. Because
thank you.
The moment you came out, it was as if everything in Lagos just gone upside down. The moment you came out, You became the de facto governor of Lagos. Not everybody.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. We are running out of time. You are getting a lot of
well,
this.
This is, but I need to also thank Mike and also say to you, which is one of the things for me, that even whilst we're on the campaign trail, we're throwing what we call a free Wi-Fi to University of Lagos and to all of its tertiary institutions.
Free Wi-Fi.
Free Wi-Fi, 24/7. In fact, one of the things we're having conversations around the leadership of the university that should we make it 24/7 or should we, once you sign on, should we give it to you for 3-4 hours so that you can do all of the very detailed work and come back the following day and the following day. It started. They're going live later in this week. And we've done in 11 locations already. That's because of her belief that we need to
consolidate on this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's one of the things, that's one of the ways we can wrap up, technology. We're going to be very heavy on technology. And we're saying that our children, our words, our brothers, they need this.
Let me just clear up. I have Samuel is calling from Ejigbo. Thank you for joining us, Samuel. Hello, Samuel.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead with your contribution. We're way out of time. Samuel, are you there?
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please. Go ahead, Samuel.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
Samuel.
morning, and good morning to your guests.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Let's go. Okay, I think we have. So you were talking about this free Wi-Fi, and where Lagosians, apart from the higher institutions,
we're actually going to deploy in almost 100 places.
Because if you go to other cities in the world, if you're on train, if you're on buses, you can access Wi-Fi.
That's the plan. That's the eventual plan. But we probably just want to, they say the taste of a pudding is in the eating. We just want Lagosians to have a feel. So we're looking at huge public places, a lot of the malls, a lot of places where people aggregate. And we believe that is how we begin to change the narrative. People must have access, not only to global trends, must also be able to know that that's how the world is going to. So anybody that is doing coding that needs opportunity, they can begin to play in that space very well. And so we're having conversations with the telcos to see how we enhance, their right of ways. How do we even make Lagos as much as like a mesh city where...
I want to extract a commitment because we are running out of time. I want to extract that commitment that you'll be back on this morning. This program runs for 1 hour, but we've been shortchanged for 30 minutes.
Yes.
So when are you coming next to this morning?
I will probably just check the diary, but I can be rest assured. I'm a man of my words. Once as a treasurer, your words is always your bond. So I have said it, I will come back, and I will most definitely come back so very soon.
I'm sure Boyga and Co. I will hold you responsible for that.
No,
Boyga.
you hold me responsible.
Okay. All right. I really want to thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu. And I wish you the best of luck in your election campaign.
Thank you.
And that's it on this morning. And hopefully tomorrow we are going to have another edition of the program. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Have a nice day ahead.